Hello, friends. Congratulations on making it through the panel. This shows that you have earned the respect of shelter staff and fellow shelter guests. They believe that you are serious about life change. We want to do all that we can to walk alongside you in your journey toward living out all that God has designed you to experience so that you can flourish.
We are people who
actively pursue personal and spiritual growth. We choose to risk losing friends, habits, and familiar things to pursue the things of God. Choose honesty and authenticity. Choose to use kind words instead of insults. We do not spread gossip. We want to make peace and address conflict with wisdom. We choose to forgive so that we can be forgiven ourselves. We choose to risk calm when we could rather be angry.
We take responsibility for our actions. We evaluate our behavior and choices often. Our goal is to be like Christ. We choose to use our time at GRM to build a foundation worthy of God's plan for our future. And we choose to be comforting and compassionate to others and be respectful to others' property.
Excuse me. We choose to withhold public displays of affection on site regardless of marital status. We accept that our value is in Christ and not in the things of this world. Because we are all God's beloved children, we treat everyone as equals.
we choose safety.
Confidentiality. We do not talk about other guests to anyone. This includes outside professionals who come to the mission. We will direct any question to the staff. We choose to report all emergencies and incidents to staff immediately. GRM is not responsible for lost or stolen property. We choose not to invite or bring anyone not staying at the mission on site. Choose to comply with GRM's 9 p.m. curfew or make arrangements for an exception with GRM paid staff.
We choose to be a good neighbor.
The Gospel Rescue Mission is a tobacco, dip, and vape-free campus. If I choose to use tobacco or vape items, I'll do so at least 2 blocks away from the Gospel Rescue Mission. I choose to respect Gospel Rescue Mission neighbors by not loitering in front of houses and businesses in the neighborhood.
We choose good health.
Practice good hygiene, shower daily, wash hands regularly, and launder clothes and bedding regularly. Alert staff to any contagious conditions and comply with quarantine guidelines. No outside food in the building. Drinks are allowed in a container with a secure lid. In the event of a spill, we will clean up after ourselves. We will never bring liquids near electronics. Thank you so much. Amen.
We choose to have a peaceful community.
We choose not to touch or borrow other guests' belongings. We choose to stay out of other guests' dorms and only sit or lie on our own beds. We choose to dress modestly. We choose to respect quiet time from 10:15 p.m. to 6 a.m. If we are here as a parent or if we are the caretaker of a service or therapy animal, we will choose to be gentle in our correction when disciplining them. Our children or animals are our responsibility, and they will be under our supervision at all times.
For the safety of our shelter guests, anyone choosing the following are choosing to leave immediately, no exceptions. Use or possession of drugs, drug paraphernalia, or alcohol, illegal activity, any behavior that presents a safety hazard to other guests and or staff, assault, threatening behavior like physical acts, verbal threats, or racist remarks, or possession of weapons.
We choose to thoughtfully consider our exit from the GRM program, understanding that we must be out for a minimum of 30 days. Our mail will be returned to the sender each week on Wednesdays. Our belongings left at the Gospel Rescue Mission will be considered a donation after 48 hours unless we make arrangements with GRM staff. we may not be permitted to return to the program without meeting with staff first. If we choose to require law enforcement to aid in our exit, we understand that we will be required to meet with the rescue manager before re-entry can be considered.
During this orientation, a rescue team staff member will be assigned to meet with you and talk through a comprehensive assessment of your whole life. For the most part, we are simply taking your word for where you were at, but staff might ask clarifying questions. The more accurate the assessment, the better the help that we can offer you. We understand that you don't know us and we really don't know much about you, so you have no reason to trust us. Over time, we expect to earn your trust. This assessment will be used to help us create a personalized plan for your future stay here, as well as setting you up for a life of success beyond GRM. Regarding those contracts, after the assessment, staff will create a personalized contract to cover the next month. If you fulfill that contract, you will have a follow-up meeting with staff to establish your next contract and so on. Every contract you fulfill will increase your self-confidence and enable you to continue your stay here at the Gospel Rescue Mission. Every week, staff will arrange for a quick 15-minute meeting to discuss your progress. This scorecard shows how you are graded during this meeting. The top yellow row indicates the ultimate goal of the column. As you see, each column contains different steps in your journey. You may start at different places, but the goal of the program is that you will reach the top row. Self-evaluations. Self-evaluations are a powerful tool to implement if you are intending to learn and grow and become all that God created you to be. They are mandatory for your stay here at GRM. They are one of the most important tools we have for true life change. In Lamentations 3, verse 40, we read this: "Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord." Self-eval is the ultimate tool we use to rid ourselves of bad habits and establish good ones. These are not write-ups or punishments. Self-evals are not good or bad in themselves. What makes a self-eval good or bad is the amount of effort and how seriously we take them. If you take your time and seriously answer the questions, then regardless of the reason for self-evaluation, it is a good self-eval. Regarding our exchange program, we believe that you are an adult. As an adult, you are not in need of handouts. Handouts demean you and treat you as a child. Due to this belief, we have an exchange program that starts now. You have most likely already received at least 1 hour on a green paper like this one. The number on the right is the number of hours you have left over after your room and board were taken out. This chart shows some of the common things you will use your hours on. You can see your room and board is 6 hours. This will be automatically taken out of your timesheet every week. These are only usable by yourself and only for your current stay. Challenge contracts. The contracts will have different tasks based on your assessments. However, there are 3 tasks that will be assigned to everyone at the same point of their stay. We call these challenge contracts. The first of these is to give up the idol of cash jobs. Cash jobs are not legal. When you do not pay taxes on the money you receive, you are committing a felony. We understand that cash jobs are tempting. However, this is the first of many idols we want to help you rid yourself of. The second of these is to give up the idol of nicotine. Smoking has many negative impacts on health. The chemicals in tobacco smoke can damage your body in many ways. For example, nicotine narrows your veins and arteries. This can damage your heart by forcing it to work harder and harder, slow your blood, and reduce oxygen to your feet and hands. Carbon monoxide deprives your heart of the oxygen it needs to pump blood around your body. Over time, your airways swell up and let less air into your lungs. Tar is a sticky substance that coats your lungs like soot in a chimney. Phenols paralyze and kill the hair-like cells in your airways. These cells sweep clean the lining of your airways and protect them against infections. Tiny particles in tobacco smoke irritate your throat and lungs and cause a smoker's cough. This makes you produce more mucus and damages lung tissue. Ammonia and formaldehyde irritate your eyes, nose, and throat. Cancer-causing chemicals make your cells grow too fast or abnormally. This can result in cancer cells. Tobacco affects the way you look as well. Smoking tobacco can cause yellow-brown stains on your fingers, tongue, and teeth, increase your risk of tooth loss and bad breath, make your skin saggy and give you early wrinkles, and make your hair lose its natural shine. Tobacco affects your health as well. If you smoke, you reduce your life expectancy and your quality of life, increasing your risk of many conditions and diseases, as well as dying prematurely. It can be a long time before smokers get a smoking-related condition or disease. Because of this, some people believe it won't happen to them. In fact, up to 2/3 of long-term smokers will die of smoking-related disease and have their life cut short by about 10 years on average compared to non-smokers. There is growing evidence to suggest that smoking has negative impact on mental health. For example, some studies show that smoking is associated with increased rates of anxiety, panic attacks, depression, suicide attempts, and schizophrenia. Tobacco is one of the risk factors shared by 4 of the main categories of non-communicable disease. These include cardiovascular disease, cancer, chronic lung disease, and diabetes. By the way, did you know that smoking can cause the following? Cancer, breathing problems, and chronic respiratory conditions, heart disease, stroke, and blood circulation problems, diabetes, infections, dental problems, hearing loss, vision loss, fertility problems, osteoporosis, and menopause. What do the numbers say? The most recent available estimates show that almost 480,000 Americans die from tobacco use every year. This equates to just under 1 tobacco-related death every minute. Up to 2/3 of deaths in current smokers can be attributed to smoking, and current smokers are estimated to die an average of 10 years earlier than non-smokers. As a smoker, you can affect the health of other people when they breathe in your secondhand smoke. This means they're breathing in the same toxic and cancer-causing chemicals you are. Secondhand smoke kills 41,000 people a year. Smoking is expensive. The numbers add up over a year. If you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, you could be spending more than $10,000 a year on cigarettes. The last of these is to give up the idol of government support. We believe that you are too valuable to settle for the small amount of money, barely enough to survive on, that the government offers you. When you accept their payment, they're placing a value on you. You are worth more than that. You have value, and we at GRM believe you can work and provide for yourself. We believe you have the ability to work. We believe that you still have something to provide for society. We believe in you. In Galatians chapter 6, verses 4 and 5, we read, "Everyone should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else. For each one should carry their own load." The Bible is clear that working is necessary. It is our work that we find pride. We know that these are hard things to ask you to do. That is why we are letting you know they are coming now, so you can prepare and work towards them. They will come faster than you realize. On the topic of work, GRM has a Work Start program in place to help you find a career. You are already participating in the Work Start 1.0 program. This program consists of 5 levels. You are now at level 1. Your Work Start supervisor has leveling sheets that you are to start working through. As you finish each sheet, you will have a leveling up meeting with your Work Start supervisor. After you have finished all 5 levels, you will graduate from Work Start 1.0. You will receive a letter of recommendation and a graduation certificate at that time. You will then be automatically enrolled in the Work Start 2.0 program. Work Start 2.0 is run by the site director. You will still participate in your Work Start track, but will be treated more as a real-world worker. You will spend this extra time with the site director. They will help you with your resume, interview skills, applications, and work restrictions. The goal is to get you a career. You will not get a job to get by, but a career that you can do for a long time. The goal is a well-paid job that provides what you need to be independent. Guest leaders. Once you complete your second contract, you will be invited to serve as a guest leader. These are the requirements to be considered for that honor. Guest leaders must at least be in their second contract, choose to be a leader by following the guest guidelines and leading by example, choose to hold themselves accountable for their actions, help fellow guests understand the guidelines and hold them accountable for their actions, attending the guest leader meetings as scheduled, choose to show grace when needed, choose to do everything in love, help new check-ins find their bed and get settled in. Guest leaders must be in the chapel at 1 o'clock p.m. to walk the new check-ins over to the main building, give them a tour of the facilities, and answer any questions they might have. If you are chosen for this honor, you will be given a more comprehensive list, like this one, to spell out your duties. Before we close out, we at GRM want to take some time to share the gospel part of our mission.
So we live in this world, and it's characterized by brokenness. We don't have to look very hard to see there are things like disease, disasters, wars. There's a lot of pain in this world, but this is not God's original design. God has a perfect design. And the way that we have gotten ourselves into brokenness is through something that the Bible calls sin. Sin is turning away from God's design and pursuing our own way, and that leads us to brokenness. Brokenness eventually leads us to death, and this death will separate us from God forever. But God doesn't want us to stay in brokenness, so He's made a way out, and that way is Jesus. Jesus comes and He enters into our brokenness, and the death that we deserve for pursuing brokenness, Jesus takes our place and dies on a cross, and His body is broken for us. And 3 days after He dies, He rose from the dead, and He made a way out of brokenness. And people try many things to get out of brokenness, things like religion, things like success or relationships, education or drugs and alcohol, but none of these things can get us out of brokenness. The only way out is Jesus. And if we turn from our sin and believe that Jesus died for us and rose from the dead, we can leave brokenness and grow in a relationship with God and pursue His design. And more than that, we can go. We can be sent just like Jesus back into brokenness to help others come through Him to pursue God's design. Now, there's two types of people in the world. There are people that are pursuing God's design, and there's people that are still in brokenness. We have to ask ourselves, where are we? So, where do you think you are?
Thank you for your time, and again, congratulations on being accepted into the Miller Family Center for Life Change here at the Gospel Rescue Mission.